you are watching right now and you're enjoying, what this is, what is happening for you, type in chat, are we going Nyan? Are we going Bren? What do you guys want? Who do you want to win this best of one? As the teams do start locking in the champions that they locked in previously. So hopefully no one gets confused here and we see the exact same picks happening again. Expect it to be a little bit of a quick draft.
And at least they are, sticking with the whole same draft thing and things are going back to that. And as much as some people think, when you start another game, and yeah, there's technical difficulties, we have that all the time. Believe it or not, that doesn't affect the next part of the game as much as some might think. They might rethink something, they might overthink something at some times, but overall, the gameplay usually stays the same. The teams have the same mentality as they're going into the game. They know there was a mistake last time, but I have seen many games just play out the same way, actually, when they go back into the game that they fix.
Oh, excuse me, just having a sip of water there. Yeah, it can be an ongoing error. Hopefully it won't be, because I'm really excited to see this match. The chat in Twitch now is going to be put out with the hashtag BrenWin or hashtag NyanWin. So it's going to be good to see what the crowd want to see here and what they think is going to happen after seeing these drafts themselves. I'm still excited to see what these guys can come up with. I'm a big fan of the Thane. A good thing about teaming into Thane, though, is that Thane does tend to have quite a predictable ultimate. When he goes in and you see that your teammates are fairly low, you can often predict when Thane is going to ult. So teaming is quite a strong pick there, as he can use his ultimate, obviously, to bring back his fellow teammates. And that can really turn the tables in these team fights. In the late game where timers are so long, having the ability to respawn instantaneously can turn the tide in these team fights, in huge ways, especially if you manage to land it on multiple teammates. Because suddenly, a team that thinks they're ahead and has managed to secure 2 kills will find themselves maybe down 2 heroes themselves, and everyone's back up for the enemy team. It can be a scary place to be, especially in that late game scenario. We're getting back into game now, hopefully. So JBZ, L'Oreal. Let's talk about L'Oreal. She's gone kind of back and forth in as far as buffs and nerfs over time, but she can still carry a game to a massive extent, can't she?
Yeah, and actually I got to play a little bit of her yesterday and can guarantee you that she is still playable. The only thing with her, though, is you have to be aggressive. So I did try a passive approach in looking at this. I thought that was the safe thing. Get your farm, go and help lanes if you can, and just keep it going that way. It turns out that actually puts you more behind than ahead. So with L'Oreal, when you have the opportunity, if someone, for example, Tulin, just use his one and he misses, or even if you take a little bit of damage, take the time to be aggressive, get those pokes in, and you should be okay. But overall, she is a little bit weakened, so you do have to be extra careful. By the time you hit 4, things should be naturally good for her. And then, of course, by the time you get your 3rd item, she'll be set even more.
Yeah, L'Oreal. And like I said, it's when you see when you see the wheel come down, it does a decent amount of damage, especially if you manage to proc her passive. If you do, I think it's divine punishment. I want to say, I should check these things before I start speaking. But obviously the team's now in play. That 30-second pause at the beginning doing a world of justice for the teams, as everyone looks like they're engaged. Now Arcadia has been caught out slightly as he starts poking his nose around in the enemy jungle, but it isn't going to come to too much here. Pooty Poot's going to be used, one of the greatest names ever used. I'm pretty sure Garena and Co designed that name just so that our shoutcasters would have something amusing to say at all times. But Leathergoods and Arcadia in around that midsection, and we do see here Antihero has been caught out slightly by the BrenEsports as they close in on him. Antihero is going to be going down. First blood going to be going over to I there on the Ryoma for BrenEsports, and Arcadia in a really bad position, but Peace Boy is coming in as his Leathergoods. Looks like they are just going to sit away a little bit of jungle here. Arcadia going very low. He does not have Being a Bro up at this point in time. It's still too early for that. Peace Boy now in a wrong position. I'm surprised BrenEsports aren't closing on him, but they've got their eyes set on Leathergoods right now as he's forced to dash away, but still caught out, and it is going to go down to McLaren on that L'Oreal. Peace Boy, meanwhile, is going to try and steal away jungle, but he's still in a vulnerable position right now. He's going to be looking for that blue, but Kuraki is now the target, and he does not like where he is at all as the ultimate comes out now. Eye on that Ryoma is on fire in these early stages of the game, as it's now 4-1 at just 1 minute 53 into the game. Wow, what a start to the game today, JB.
Indeed it is, and as we just saw, it got messy in seconds, and even when I was following that, it was just amazing to see the plays. But going to that aggression play that we were talking about from last time, they continued it in this one. Teamy was putting that pressure. Teamy might have possibly poked them a little too much, and this is exactly what teamies do. They tend to kind of hit a little switch there, and so they responded in force. Ryoma, them all just going into jungle, and early game, Ryoma is a force to reckon with even more, especially with his 2. And right there, you can see they got stunned, and they just started picking them off one by one. There was a good chase there. Leathergoods was able to redeem just 1 kill out of that. But, of course, in the end, half the team ended up kind of just getting swept clean through that.
Yeah, Peace Boy did manage to pick up another kill in the bot side of the in the bottom lane there, but onto the kill graph. But it's it's still early days, and the thing about Arena of Valor is kills are great, but you have to turn them into objectives. And immediately we see the ultimate coming out there from L'Oreal, and it is going to be doing great work there. That's 1 kill. That's a double kill. Tulen doing some great work coming through, and that is a lot of damage. Tinker going to get away with the slightest sliver of health, but down comes the 5, I think. Not going to say it because I'm going to get it wrong. Tulen's ultimate is going to come out there and doesn't quite do the damage needed. They want that shutdown. Pooty Poots is going to connect. That's going to be the stun use, and that's the shutdown going over to Leathergoods, the carry, the Tulen. That's exactly who you want to see these kills on.
And right there in that situation, Arcadia, we actually did see him use his ultimate. Never needed, but a little bit good of a precaution, and they had enough space to breathe with it. But they were going for that dragon. It wasn't successful, and as they collapsed on it, they made a mistake this time because L'Oreal wasn't ready for that. She ended up getting shoved out a little bit too early there. And Ryoma going back in down on bottom probably wasn't the best idea, seeing as his teammates all were already out of that space.
Yeah, it is Thunderbird. I should have had faith in myself. But yes, Leathergoods now doing a decent amount of damage there to McLaren. Will thrown out. Arcadia is going to connect and is going to stun up McLaren temporarily, but now they are in a vulnerable position. 4 has been hit now for Arcadia, so we will get to see that being a bro come into play. Kuraki now looking to land a good ultimate here. It's going to come down, and it's going to connect with Thane, not the ideal target. It is going to allow the rest of Nyan to back up a little bit. Peace Boy will be looking for that Abyssal Dragon now, though. And this would be a great pickup for them, right?
It's going to be great that they're actually doing that. And like we were talking about with Teamy, Teamy's doing exactly what we wanted to see. He's getting that aggression there. And honestly, he's having a really good dance with Thane. I mean, they make great dance partners at this point. They're always colliding into each other. They're making the plays on each other. And ultimately, Teamy is still coming out ahead, as we're about to see. He's about to get into Ryoma.
Yeah, the big the good thing about Teamy is he just have a strong early game, such a strong early game, and deals surprising damage considering support. Even if you build in purely support, will still do surprising damage, particularly in the early game before defensive items have come into play. We can see now Peace Boy, Leathergoods, and Arcadia around that mid lane were looking for a potential gank, realizing they're not going to get it, will back off and make sure they pick up that Sage Golem. That's going to be going over to Leathergoods, the person that you want that blue buff on right now. Meanwhile, in the top lane, they're just battling it out. They're doing their own thing. Leathergoods and McLaren are the focus right now. Tinker going to be looking for a little bit of damage here onto Leathergoods, but Leathergoods is going to dash straight out of the way. Arcadia is there for cover as well. Will Pooty Poots over the wall, actually, to Tinker. Don't know if he wants it, but he's going to bait him in as Peace Boy comes in. I'm pretty sure Ride of the Valkyries just played in Tinker's head as that happened. McLaren, meanwhile, is going to pop the smite, is going to be doing good damage as the wheel comes out over and over again onto the enemy team. Peace Boy going back in is going to be looking for McLaren, but isn't going to quite be able to connect. McLaren is going to back off. Thunderbird will be thrown out as well, though, and that will connect. Arcadia is still on the back line, is going to be coming in, trying to secure that kill onto L. Anti-hero doing what he can. Huge amounts of damage coming out onto I. I will be going down, and that is going to be another kill going over to Nyan. Great work there. L, not the sole survivor, because Tinker's back up now, but wow, what a team fight there for Nyan. Now going 10-7 as they take the mid tower. What do we think about that fight, JP? That was pretty crazy.
With the first game of the day, Teamy is showing us he is here. He has arrived in the C server, and he means business. The roam, we were talking about this, and they're actually going in on Lindis. Lindis getting caught out. Tinker's making the best of it as much as possible. Peace Boy is going to go and clear it out. And yes, is going to catch Tinker. Tinker is having this trouble. We were talking about ADC getting that uplifting time of moving through the jungle, getting the camps, going. It's getting hindered now because of that Teamy. And if Teamy keeps doing what he's doing, it's already causing trouble here. So they're about to start the next dragon. But Rome, we're going back to that topic just a little bit quickly here. And they're actually doing it here, which is something rare that we see, well, at least on my server in NA. Not much we can do about that. But it's really good on supports. If you guys ever play supports, do consider playing that. And of course, Leathergoods securing that kill on Ryoma. Leathergoods is being really, really aggressive and really good on that Tulin right now.
Yeah, he is. And the kills are going over to him over and over again. The team have been playing great work here from Arcadia and Code in keeping Leathergoods at the back line and keeping him alive right now. Antihero, however, is going to be doing what he can in the top lane, going 2 versus 1. Can Antihero be stopped here? Kilgore fleeing for his life, not something you see very often, as Lubu takes out Lindis, nearly taking out Kilgrove in a 2 versus 1. And this is starting to snowball very much in the favor of Nyan at this stage as they take their 5th tower of the game. No towers have dropped for them yet, against them yet. So BrenEsports still no towers, no dragons to the 2 dragons and 6 towers of Nyan. What can BrenEsports do at this stage to pull themselves back in it as Nyan start their way on the Darkslayer?
They are going to have to make one hell of a comeback here. Of course, Darkslayer being grabbed, all they have to do is play safe. Whenever there's a Darkslayer about, safe is your best option. That's probably the one time you don't want to be aggressive unless there's something to come out. But it does look like that opportunity is slipping them as they are trying to make a push here. But best thing about this, defense is your best offense. In the cases of this case, it looks like Thane is trying to make a lead charge here. Arcadia is just so aggressive. You look at the plays that he makes, he's not afraid to get in there. Same with Malik. And now, of course, we have Lubu, who's all fed, and they're all in that position where they can dive towers. So even when you're playing defensive, you have to look at who can you grab, where can we go? You have the Cricknack waiting to pick on somebody. Lubu is just waiting to pick on someone as well. Arcadia is just waiting for that opportunity to pooty-poot right through the entire team. And so they have to keep their space. But they still have a chance. They just need to hold this, and they're doing it right now. There is always a chance in Arena of Valor. We know that. We've all played those games where it looks like it's completely hopeless, and then suddenly it's turned around. However, it's feeling pretty hopeless right now for BrenEsports. But Kuroke is getting trapped at the back line there as the rest of his team take down the high ground turret. But they're all going one by one. Red tower drops, and so does the red players as we see BrenEsports falling, and Leathergoods on that onslaught. Now with the wave, they are going to be pushing in onto base. What can be done here from I don't think anything can be done. They did manage to clear the wave, which does mean that they're going to have to work a lot harder to take down this base, but it's still going to go regardless. An amazing play there from Leathergoods and Nyan, taking the first game of the day over BrenEsports. We literally just saw right here, first game of the day, Teamy, what we were talking about, the way his pooty boots go, and just moving and being aggressive. He was a great Roman going throughout the entire thing, and he kept that pressure on. And Thane was matching him to a certain degree, but at about the 10-minute mark or so, it started falling off, and Arcadia was just making play after play after play. And at some point, the team might have slipped just a tiny bit to give Peace Boy and the rest of the team to catch up as well. And of course, Leathergoods was jumping in there every single time, grabbing those kills. And of course, if you get those tools and those resets, you're just asking to pile on those bodies.
Yeah, as we look at those scores there, we can see just how that game went. The Kilgroth not really managing to get to that scary place that we've seen Kilgroths in the past. McLaren as well really suffered in the early game. And we did see I picking up some good kills in that early game on that Ryoma, but it just wasn't there come late game. And 13 kills on Leathergoods on that Tulin. Sometimes we don't like to say that, a person was the carrier of the team, but sometimes it's also undeniable because 13 kills. But he only got those kills because the rest of his team played so well around him. We are going to be taking a short break now.